Hello, everyone. Good morning if you are on the west side of the country, and good afternoon if you are on the east side of the country. My name is Laura Muzyka. I serve as president and CEO of Sidewalk Advocates for Life, the largest sidewalk advocacy organization around the globe. We are so privileged to be here and to be the hands and feet of Christ at 202 locations, abortion facilities, where we're on the sidewalk in front of abortion facilities, on the public rights of way, reaching out to people in need. Of course, we're mostly here in the United States. We've got a handful of international locations, and we're growing. We're rapidly growing. And what I want you to hear in that is that as we grow, you grow. We are so proud to be the gateway, that very first face of, some of you who provide life affirming resources to clients who are headed into abortion facilities, or healing resources for those who are coming out. And we're going to talk about how we get people to these incredible resources on the community, national, or even international level today. So really the essence of this is mean to be that compassionate face, that gateway to life affirming resources from the abortion facility and beyond. So a little bit more about me. I always say, by God's grace, I'm an attorney who ended up in grassroots pro-life work. I'm a trained sidewalk counselor of more than 20 years. Before starting Sidewalk Advocates for Life, I was privileged to serve as the campaign strategist for the National 40 Days for Life team, advising their more than 300 campaigns in North America, spiritually, strategically, even got the first blush at things legally. And now, again, so privileged to train, equip, and support saints on the front lines, thousands of volunteers, and peaceful sidewalk outreach at abortion facilities all over the country and beyond. A little bit more about us. Once again, over 200 locations and growing. We are so privileged to work on the community level. We don't just send individuals out there, but we bring together the body of Christ in this great mission. We're professedly peaceful, prayerful, loving, and law-abiding, so that we can win those conversations on the front end or when women are coming out. And we've got a really unique, comprehensive program. We don't just train people, but we've got ready-made tools, full-time staff support. And we find that those three elements really help people to persevere in this great mission. Victories that we've seen on the sidewalk. We've seen nearly 13,000 mothers served and babies saved. We just celebrated abortion worker number 72 who left the business in the Southeast with the help and witness of a sidewalk advocate. And we just celebrated abortion facility number 25 that closed its doors for good following an SAFL outreach presence. And then we are so proud that we've been able to hand out countless post-abortion healing resources, again, vast majority of the time to support after abortion for people who are coming out, of course, knowing that many times that prevents future abortions and heals generations. So today I want to just kind of lay a little bit of a foundation, give you just kind of a basic overview in the short amount of time that we have together. I want to talk to you about what sidewalk advocacy actually is. How do we see this activity on the sidewalk? When is it best to offer healing resources? And then what values are important so that we actually win these really important conversations, which very well may be the most important conversation in America today. So the big thing here is that this is the spirit that we carry to the sidewalk. And I'm just going to read this so we have a moment today to hear this from God's word. If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I'm a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. That's absolutely who we are to that woman on the sidewalk if we don't have love. And if we have prophetic powers, we can understand all mysteries and all knowledge. And if we have faith that can move mountains, but we have not love, we are told we are nothing. If we give all we have and we deliver our body up to the flames, if we're willing to sacrifice our very selves on behalf of this mission, but we have not love, we gain nothing, right? We don't see anything happen on the sidewalk. And what I want you to hear is that we can have the most perfect thing to say. We can give that woman on the way in every reason that she shouldn't have an abortion. We can try to get information in our hands on the way out. But if we don't have love, we're going to be that resounding gong or that clanging cymbal. We're not going to get anywhere. If she even remotely feels like we are taking her moral inventory, she's going to shut down on us and hear nothing that we have to say. So we don't want to just be right. We want to be effective, right? We want to win these conversations. We want people to entrust their very personal and precious stories to us. And so we have to be his hands and feet on the sidewalk. We have to be the essence of love when we go out there. You know, at the end of the day, I think so many of us, we stand in front of these abortion facilities and it feels like this huge David and Goliath battle. You're standing in front of big bad Planned Parenthood mega facility, right? And, you know, how am I going to do this with the parking lot filled or so many women coming in? And what I want you to remember at the end of the day is it's just about another human soul, another imperfect human soul reaching out to someone else who is another imperfect human soul, someone who's in need. And I remembered as I stood in front of former Planned Parenthood director Abby Johnson's abortion facility, I used to pray in Sidewalk Council outside of Abby Johnson's former facility. When I was a student in college, I was watching her rise through the ranks of Planned Parenthood. And I remembered so many mornings praying and just, you know, on my knees asking God, how do I reach these women? Because in our community, and if you remember, that's where the prayer vigil 40 days for life started. It's now spread across, you know, the globe and brought people to prayer for 40 days every spring and fall, right? That beautiful prayer presence that has seen so many miracles, but it started in that community there where Texas A&M University was. And I remember before 40 Days for Life showed up that folks were coming out to the sidewalk and doing some interesting things, right? Maybe they were, you know, wearing some interesting costumes or bringing out interesting props, or they had signage that could be perceived as angry. And I remembered thinking, I don't know the answer here. What is it that we're supposed to do? What is the most effective thing that would bridge that gap, right? And I was peaceful, but maybe I was guilty by association because someone near me was wearing an interesting costume, you know, and I didn't at that moment think, well, what woman is going to come to the fence and talk to the Grim Reaper, right? Even though I appreciate maybe the passion behind that. And I remembered that when 40 Days for Life came into the community, when there was a focus on prayer and the atmosphere became more peaceful, prayerful, and what I call purposeful, all of a sudden we were seeing women come to the fence. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, amazing. I was hooked after that. You know, even when I was going through school and I thought, oh, I'm going to be legal counsel for a pro-life organization. I always did this on the side. And of course, suddenly realized that an invitation to help save lives and impact eternal souls was made available to me in a very special way. And I couldn't not say yes, right after seeing this transformation that had taken place and even changed my life. But what I realized is that that fence that for so many years to me felt like the Grand Canyon, what bridged that gap was peace and prayer and love, and yes, even resources, right? And so that's what I want y'all to know today is that when you feel like you're in that David and Goliath battle, we have something so much greater that is bridging that gap, and that is love. All right, so what do we do in school? We always define our terms, right? So let me go ahead and tell you how we define, how we see sidewalk advocacy, how we see this activity. Sidewalk advocacy refers to crisis intervention on the sidewalk. We encourage a woman to choose life, empower her to leave the abortion facility. And either way, no matter who's crossing our path, we're reaching out to everyone present to bring about a conversion of heart from a culture of death to a culture of life, thereby ending abortion. So for the woman who's headed in to that abortion facility, life affirming resources, letting her know about the Pregnancy Resource Center. Again, almost no one who's arriving at the abortion facility today knows that there are life affirming resources in her backyard, that there's a pregnancy center that's ready to go to bat for her. And again, when women are coming out after their abortion, if they didn't take that offer of help on the way in, almost no one knows that there are healing resources that are ready to go to bat for them. And so again, whoever crosses our path, we're there to be the hands and feet of Christ, giving them this information. We're doing crisis intervention. Our goal is to get that person into the arms of someone who's an expert in ongoing crisis management, even if it's true that we'll be there for them in the coming days. In the training, we remind people that there's no perfect sidewalk advocate, that God is going to use our unique gifts and talents on the sidewalk. And, sometimes people say to me, Lauren, well, I'm not a super extrovert like you. I can't just walk up to someone on the sidewalk and start a conversation. And what I let people know is that, hey, some of you more introverted types have something on me that you don't even realize. You are natural listeners, and you have just this kind of natural tendency to listen and receive and then respond from there. Whereas, us extroverts are thinking about the very next thing that we're going to say. And so we all bring strengths and weaknesses to the sidewalk, and we just stay aware of those. So whether you are a woman or a man, young or old, introvert or extrovert, God can use you to move mountains on the sidewalk. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really depend on us. It depends on God and those who have an opportunity to respond to his grace. We can do everything perfect. We can be so well positioned and ensure we have the right demeanor, even to get healing information into her hands. And should she reject that at the time, what we have to remember is that God isn't done with her yet. Yes, we try to plant as many seeds as possible, but y'all, I am, in this ministry with women who have had 4 and 7 abortions in their past. This is now their glory story. And so God is not done with that woman, that man, that family yet. And just you being there in prayer, I mean, at the very least, she is not going to forget you. And if we have been at least that point of peace, prayer, and love, she will remember that. And that very well may be the thing that gets her onto the road of hope and healing. All right. A lot of people ask me, is this even worth it? Does this even make a difference? And what I want you to know is that when you go out to the sidewalk to be his hands and feet, you are very effective. Former abortion providers who are now on our side of the fence tell us that sidewalk outreach was the activity that most devastated their business. Former Planned Parenthood director Abby Johnson says that when there's a peaceful, prayerful presence in front of an abortion facility, Planned Parenthood has documented up to a 75% cancellation rate. And then Abby Johnson's abortion worker ministry, and then there were none. And this is what's so amazing, because a lot of workers have one or multiple abortions in their past. A lot of people don't know that, and that actually is what is keeping them in the abortion industry. The enemy is playing on that pain, keeping them chained to the abortion industry. The beautiful thing is that over 60%, this is amazing, of the workers that are coming to them for hope and healing themselves got information from someone on the sidewalk. So you are more effective than you realize. The nearly 13,000 women who have chosen life, the countless numbers of, women that we've reached with post-abortion healing information, workers who have left and beyond. These are just the ones that we know about. We're not going to know about every victory this side of heaven. Maybe with the way the public right-of-way is situated, maybe with the personality of that woman, she won't always tell us that she's chosen life, right? But we know that you make a huge difference when you say yes to this mission. The biggest thing here is that we are there to be a sign of hope. Compassionate sidewalk advocacy is a sign of Christ's hope, healing, and mercy for those who are abortion vulnerable and those who have experienced abortion. Okay, so here's, a very basic primer of how you actually do this, because, there's really 2 ways that you're going to be approaching clients. It may be at a driveway on public right of way. And again, the vast majority of driveways, at least a portion of it, is on public right of way. And it's constitutionally permissible for you to, stand on the curb or just off the curb and invite a car to stop and take information briefly. Or you may be at a fence, or you may have to walk up to someone on the sidewalk as they are walking up to the facility themselves. And so and keeping in mind too, that Planned Parenthood these days, especially with these mega facilities that they're establishing in large cities, they are designing their facilities with the sidewalk counselor in mind, right? So a lot of times our sidewalk advocates are, as they're looking at a site strategically, and we're doing that alongside them, to figure out where people can stand and where they can reach clients. a lot of times their only point of access is at a driveway, and the facility is pushed way back from the road. So this is very different from when everybody used to be like Louisville, Kentucky, where you can pretty much walk up to the front door. But I'll tell you, as time has gone on here, and you'll see this, if you take our 5-hour training, I actually think that I enjoy handing out information at a driveway for various reasons even more. But so let's say that your main point of access is at the driveway. So maybe you're standing there on the curb, just off the curb, in a safety reflector vest. As you see a car coming in, it's a big smile and wave. You might take just one step towards the car, and you're going to do what I call the universal roll down your window sign. Okay, so one finger, spin it around. Now, here's what's so amazing. No one has the 80s and 90s cars anymore where you got to take the lever and crank it, right? But somehow millennial and Gen Z clients get this and they do it. And so you can take that finger, roll it down, and you can take a step towards the car, and you can invite them to take information and briefly speak to them, whether they're going in or they're coming out, right? And that's where you're handing out healing information. On the sidewalk, again, if you're at a facility like Louisville, Kentucky, and you see someone coming down the sidewalk, you want to kind of look down for just a second, look up and smile, and calmly walk up to someone again with that smile on your face. The key here is we don't want to overwhelm people. We want to invite people, right? So you want your demeanor, your words, your attitude, everything about that to be very inviting. And no matter what, we say, insofar as you can use this advice, be peaceful and law abiding. Materials. The biggest thing is that literature is your greatest ally because it can speak for you when you can no longer speak to her. And so on the front end, that's pregnancy help brochures that we're handing out information to the local life affirming pregnancy resource center. And when she's coming out, contacts for healing resources. A lot of our sidewalk advocates are just simply handing out, because it's not very imposing, that business card with support after abortion information. There are a lot of women who are going into a Planned Parenthood for something that's not morally problematic in and of itself. A well woman exam, a breast exam, STD, STI testing. If it's not morally problematic, we can redirect that thousands upon thousands of dollars of business, healthcare business, away from Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry. And the way that we do that is pulling out a handy dandy resource sheet where maybe we say, here's where else you can go for that well woman exam. Of course, the ideal is a pro-life OB-GYN or general practitioner, right? Someone with a pro-life worldview. Should we not have that, then at the very least, we can get her to the federally qualified health center that provides those resources, and letting people know, because a lot of them, are arriving there for their well woman exam and they have no idea that, hey, in the next room, they're going to be doing abortions. We've sent a lot of business away just based on that fact, right? One of the most powerful materials that we are now using within the last couple of years is something called, just a simple gift bag. We've called it blessing bags in the past, and this can break the ice. We actually have, gift bags on the way in or even on the way out with, items that really speak of care and love and healing, with a support after abortion card tucked in. So you can sprinkle this with store-bought candy, put some things in that women love, maybe travel size lotion, a loofah, lip gloss, nail polish, right? And then it's a great vehicle to get resources, to get literature into someone's hands. We've even had boyfriends who have come out of the abortion and they've been like, hey, can I get one of those bags of candy? And it's opened up conversation wherever they are in their journey. Okay, so how do we actually have this conversation about healing resources on the sidewalk? So I want you to remember these two words, probably not hard for those of you who are attending today, but everything about who we are, our demeanor, our materials, our approach, our words needs to speak of that spirit of hope and healing. This is where we're going to slow down a little bit, right? Maybe on the front end, there's a little bit of boldness, in the way that we have, let her know about the resources on the front end, always with love, but maybe we've been a little bit more energetic on the front end. And we have to remember that this woman now has been through a traumatic experience. She's coming off of anesthesia prospectively. So we're going to slow down a little bit, be very calm and gentle in our approach, still with a soft smile. And we're going to simply offer her post-abortion healing information and let her know that we'll be praying for her. So I've said something like, hey there, guys, I know it's been a tough day. We just want to let you know that we love you. And here's a hotline that you can call should you need help in the coming days. We're praying for you, or something along those lines that's very natural for you. And again, if you take our 5-hour training, we've got a whole module dedicated to outreach after abortion so that you really know how to get support after abortion information, or other things in her hands. Bottom line here, I love this verse from Matthew 10:19. Do not worry about how you are to speak or what you are to say. You will be given at that moment what you are to say, for it will not be you who speak, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through you. So here's the thing, when you were growing up, it's important. We have this understanding that we still study for the test, right? We still do our part to get good training to equip ourselves for this mission on the sidewalk. But and that will help with your confidence. But once you have that, you also have to let go and leave room for the Holy Spirit. And you'll be surprised in a good way when you put yourself at his disposal after this training, just how powerfully he can use you. You'll say, well, I didn't mean to say that, but that was exactly what she needed to hear. So it is important that we leave room for God to work, even should we go through a comprehensive training or take part in this training primer today. Okay, so a couple of stories. I just want to share with you a couple of stories where I shared post-abortion healing information, and it was probably a couple of the most powerful conversations that I had in 20 years on the sidewalk. So the first one happened a few years ago. I was out on the sidewalk with our team in Jacksonville, Florida. And there was a young woman who pulled into that Planned Parenthood, and I waved and smiled at her, and I waved her over. And I went into kind of my normal spiel about pregnancy health services. And she said, oh, no, I'm here for STD testing. And I said, oh, okay. And I was pulling out information about where else she could take that, very basic healthcare business. Again, not morally problematic to refer for that particular, service, right? And I let her know, sweetie, I don't know if you know this, but this is an abortion facility. And I'm sure you don't want to get your testing in one room when they're doing abortions in the next room. And I just remember looking at her, and she froze, and her hand flew to her face. And all of a sudden, tears just started to spill onto her cheeks. I'd get chills recounting the story. And I looked at her and I said, I'm so sorry. You've been through an abortion experience before, haven't you, sweetie? And she said, yes. And she's just now really starting to cry. And I said, can I give you a hug? And she just, melted right into me. I'm holding her as she's pretty much sobbing. And I said, I'm so sorry for your loss. You didn't know what to do, did you? And she said, no. And I said, when was it? She said, November. And I said, okay. I want you to know that there's hope and healing. God wants to heal you and set you free from this. And what I want you to do is to get into a good church community where you can be surrounded with community who will walk with you in this beautiful new life, right? And that will protect you from future heartache as well. And then I switched to giving her post-abortion healing information. And she profusely thanked me, and she got in her car and left. She didn't even keep her appointment at Planned Parenthood. And I just remember thinking, oh my goodness, like that was a divine appointment, right? Another story, I was at the St. Louis, Missouri Planned Parenthood a handful of years ago, was at the fence. And, if you're at the fence from one point at that facility, I mean, you're looking at just this expansive parking lot, and there's a porch. And there was a gentleman sitting on the porch with his earphones in. And I thought, I'm going to give this a shot and see if I can pull him across this parking lot, to receive information. So he's sitting there, and I go, hi there, do you have just 1 second? And he takes his earphones out and he goes, no, I'm good. And I said, I'm so sorry. I can't hear you very well, which was true. I said, can I just give this to you real quick? There's a little bit of sales sometimes in this, right? And he takes his earphones out again. He goes, no, I'm good. And so he came across the parking lot at that point to tell me that he was good. And then, took a couple more steps to say, I think I'm all right, and finally he realized, little psychology of influence, commitment, and consistency. Well, I'm halfway across this parking lot, and so I might as well go ahead and come the rest of the way across and see what this lady has for me. And he came to the fence, and I let him know about pregnancy help services in the community, all of the wonderful services at the local pregnancy center. And he said, well, actually, my girlfriend is in the recovery room right now. I'm getting ready to go pick her up. She just had the abortion. And this was a couple who had actually been at the pregnancy center and seen a sonogram, which is rare. Normally people who have walked through what they have actually chosen life. But they were headed to college. They were very scared. They didn't know what they were going to do, and they were overwhelmed. And that's why they made that choice. And so I looked at him and just said, I'm so sorry for your loss. I gave him post-abortion healing information. I talked about getting into a good church community so that, that would prevent future heartache. And they had people surrounding them and support and helping them to walk, into this new life. And, I just remembered, he looked so sad initially, and he looked at me just with hope in his eyes. And he actually put his hand through the fence and he said, I really appreciate you. And we shook hands on the sidewalk. Oh, just, again, we'll never forget that. So again, you can do so much good out on the sidewalk if you put yourself at the Lord's disposal and just say yes. So powerful. Oh, all right. Now, this is a couple of important notes here about when to hand out this information, right? So it's very important as people, of life, that we ensure that we're handing the right thing to the right client at the right time, right? So we want to avoid giving healing information until we've confirmed that she has completed the abortion or we see definite signs of it. So the signs we're looking for, if we don't get a chance to have a verbal exchange with her, she's reclined in the passenger seat, looking tired. Some facilities, the marker is she's got a cotton swab on her arm and there's some tape over it. Sometimes women are leaving with a paper bag. Now, here's what's important when you see a paper bag. For some women, they've got a Nutri-Grain bar, granola bar in there, and that's to get their blood sugar up after the abortion. But for some women, it's the second abortion pill, right? So a lot of times it's good to ask, did you by chance take the first pill today? Ask her about kind of maybe where she is in a very non-confrontational way, because we do have an opportunity to give her information to abortionpillreversal.com first, a beautiful initiative of Heartbeat International that helps women reverse the abortion pill. You will see women being held up by a companion. I'll never forget seeing an 11 or 12-year-old gal walking out of an abortion facility with mom on one side of her arm and grandma on the other. She couldn't even walk after her abortion. We've seen women throw up on the sidewalk. So these are some of the signs that we see. But again, at the end of the day, if you're unsure, you can do that universal roll down your window sign and say, hi there, did you by chance have a procedure today? And then you can go from there, right? Again, I just want to emphasize the opportunity that we have to let her know about abortion pill reversal. There still might be time to save her from the trauma of an abortion loss. And so we can hand this out when we've heard that she has taken the first abortion pill. Maybe we're not sure. So I always kind of like to go to this first at the very least. But the idea here is that first pill, what it does is it blocks progesterone and begins to break down the lining of the uterus. And then the second pill is what expels the pregnancy, right? Expels the baby. And so what we can do is connect her to the service that will get her on a progesterone regimen that can counteract the effects of the first pill. So this is great information to carry on you, especially knowing that I think it's upwards of 40% of women are actually taking the abortion pill instead of going through a surgical abortion procedure instead. Abortion pill reversal has seen many victories in being able to reverse that chemical abortion process right in the midst of that regimen. All right. Well, going forward, let us know how we can best serve you. Basically, your options are start, join, or give, besides the other opportunities to connect with us and join us in celebrating victories on social media. But if you feel called to bring our comprehensive 3-point program to your community, go to our website, click the apply button in the upper right-hand corner. chances are with 202 locations around the globe, there might be one near you. And so if you don't feel called to leadership, maybe you feel called to get trained and join a local team who's already doing this and taking some of those hours out on the sidewalk. Of course, to connect with us, join our email list, follow us on social media. We're on all the major social media channels. We do have an annual conference every fall in October. This year, we're actually going to do a one-day workshop, so be watching for information about that. And if you can't start or join a location, we encourage you to support this great work because you indeed may be responsible for starting one of these life-saving, soul-impacting teams on the sidewalk. And again, just to summarize here, let me see if I can move this window so you can see this information. But our vision is that basically there would be no uncovered abortion facility in the United States. We are really the only group that is actively working to do this with the infrastructure to do it. And so 202 locations around the globe, we want to get in front of, so we estimate that there's about 600 abortion facilities total that have needed coverage. We're at 202, we need to get to about 595 from our research. And so, you know, as you say yes to this mission in whatever way you're called, you're going to help us to get there. And that means more life affirming resources on the front end, and that means more healing information on the back end. Our mission is to be the hands and feet of Christ at these abortion facilities. And what we specifically do on the national team is to help you to be successful on the sidewalk. And that means with comprehensive training, that means with ready-made tools to equip you, and full-time staff support. We have a programs department that all they do is they advise our locations on the sidewalk and help navigate challenges. They pray with people. You know, we get them legal support, right? Whatever they need to be successful in this mission, that's why we're there. And then of course our values, and my heart is that you've seen that throughout this presentation today. First of all, we're Christ-centered because we believe that we can't do this apart from the grace of God in ending abortion community by community. Of course, we're loving, peaceful, prayerful, we're law-abiding so that we can stay out there to reach every eternal soul on the sidewalk. We aspire to servant leadership. We demand nothing less than excellence from ourselves, because I don't know about you, but I'm not just going out there to check a box. Insofar as research, testimony from women who have had abortions, have, you know, chosen life. We've had cups of coffee with abortion workers. You know, what was effective? What helped women choose life? What helped push them towards abortion? We want to know that, right? And then we are victory minded. We are doing this to end abortion one at a time. And again, let me see if I can move this window so you can see all of this, but we have a comprehensive, nationally renowned training tools and support program. This is ready to go for you when you are ready to sign up. And the biggest thing here that I want you to see is that 5-hour training. We do group trainings. You can set up a group training in your community. You know, if you need to socially distance or wear a mask, that's great. We want you to pay attention to those guidelines, but you can do a group training. If you're uncomfortable with that, we have virtual training that's ready to go, so you can build your team. People can get that training from home, and then you can schedule them out on the sidewalk. And the rest of this is just, you know, kind of the icing on top. Advanced training, Spanish training, monthly Q&A calls. Those are optional, but they're there for you. You know, a toolkit for you as a leader. And then we're there to do site assessments. We have legal support, full-time staff support, someone to pray with, right? All right. Well, thank you once again for letting me be a part of this. You know, to Lisa, Janine, and their team, what a great honor to partner with Support After Abortion, to partner with so many of you who are doing this incredible work. What an honor to be a gateway to your resources. So what I want to do in kind of the last several minutes that I have with you is take some questions. So it looks like we've got some waiting here. I'm going to see if I can, technology is not my strong suit, but I think I'm going to be able to click this button here and look at some of the questions that have come in. So again, go ahead and go to that Q&A spot there to put in your question. And then I'm also going to look at the chat box. So let's go ahead and look at Q&A here. All right, let's see here. This is a great question. If you prepare gift bags ahead of time, how do you know what to include? So actually, we have a resource that's going to be going up online, and very soon, and it's a step-by-step instructional, so like, 3-page PDF, even with pictures, that shows you how we assemble gift bags. One of the key things about gift bags that we have seen, because we've kind of tested this even just by experience, is that when you have a gift bag, you want to make sure it's open. If you seal it or close it on top, what we've seen clients do is take them and then throw them on the floorboard on the passenger side, right? Especially on the front end, we want her to look at that right away. But even, a glance when she's coming out after abortion, to just see that those resources are there for her and it's not just candy in the bag, that I think that's really important, right? I highly recommend that you do not home make anything. I'm an attorney, so I'm always keeping these things in mind, as, we don't want to create anything if somebody's got an allergy and it causes a problem and then we're in a lawsuit, right? So we want store-bought things, an actual Snickers that's wrapped or a Payday that's wrapped, right? We're going to sprinkle it maybe with some store-bought candy, and then go to the travel section of Walmart and grab lotion, grab nail polish. And, the thing is, would you enjoy receiving this gift, right? And a lot of times the abortion facility has told her, oh, stay away from these types of people. Well, those types of people are not giving these types of gifts, right? In other words, scary people don't give women gift bags, right? And some of my favorite moments on the sidewalk have been when women have said to us, as we're helping them with whatever it is that they're going in for, they said to us, by the way, we're the protesters that they told me about. I love it when people say that to us, because we're completely dispelling what this activity is and what it's meant to be. So, okay, let's see here. On a practical level, what are essential literature and cards to hand out? I really like some of the resources that Support After Abortion has come out with. I've found that sometimes slipping someone a business card, a business sized card, is not overwhelming or imposing. I'll even tell you, there was a young man that was at the abortion facility in Louisville, Kentucky, when I was on the sidewalk a couple years ago. I was out there with one of my teammates, Jeff, from the national team. And this young man was so distraught that he couldn't help save his baby. We had set him in there before his girlfriend took the first abortion pill, and she refused him, and he came out crushed. And he went into, this is again of how abortion affects men. This is a true story. He actually went back to the paid parking lot where they had parked, and he pulled out a golf club. And I watched him beat the side of a tree and then turn that golf club and beat board box on the ground. And I was like, we've got to get abortion pill reversal information in his hands, because, even when our interaction here is no longer possible, it could be that he encourages her to call, that hotline. And it was interesting, because I realized that, on the front end, I had been the shelter, and then I suddenly became the reminder. He couldn't even look at me, because with my advice, he went back in there to try and encourage her to choose life. She refused him, and he couldn't even look at me. So I turned to Jeff and I said, he needs a guy right now, and just try to get this business card in his hand. And it was the first time Jeff had actually done sidewalk counseling per se, right? He always said, oh, I'm a prayer volunteer. I'm just here to, back you up in prayer and support and all of that. But anyways, Jeff went over there and he got this business card in this gentleman's hands. It was a very, very powerful moment. And I let Jeff know, hey, you actually did sidewalk counseling for the first time, and it doesn't necessarily need to be, something really elaborate. In fact, when it comes to healing resources, we actually encourage people to not say a ton of words, knowing that she at that moment, chances are, is very overwhelmed. People are asking if we serve in Canada. So we are in a few countries. We've been in Canada before, and so feel free to reach out to us, sidewalkadvocates.org, and click the apply button in the upper right hand corner. Or we do as well do inquiry calls. So if you're not quite ready to hit the apply button, you can go on our website and scroll down to the part about join us now and help end abortion. And there is a button there where you can click and you can schedule an inquiry call with our national team. Some of you are letting me know that you are with pregnancy resource centers, that this is actually really beautiful. The idea I had of sidewalk counseling was not very good. I picture, angry pictures and, very different vision of what takes place on the sidewalk. Thank you for changing my point of view. Thank you for that. One of the things that I'm most proud of is that pregnancy resource centers, other reputable resources like Support After Abortion are proud to partner with us because we really are producing a new kind of sidewalk counselor. And don't hear what I'm not saying. Here I am in my late 30s. I stand on the shoulders of giants. There are so many saints that have gone before me that I have learned from. And it's also from their inspiration that we have continued to innovate in this space. One of the things that we recognize is that we're competing with multi-million-dollar Planned Parenthood, right? Who won't give her post-abortion healing information, at least that's, reputable and God-centered, right? That won't give her life affirming resources, that quite often won't even let her see the screen of her sonogram. If we are going to compete with Planned Parenthood, and we already have truth and love on our side, so we're already ahead of the game. No woman starts crying when we say Planned Parenthood is your answer. When we start saying these very simple things on the sidewalk because of that natural law that's on her heart, that's where walls start coming down. But if we're going to compete with professional multi-million-dollar Planned Parenthood, how much more do we need to be that calm and peaceful and non-judgmental and even professional face to the outside world? We now have several pregnancy centers, maybe even it's fair to say many pregnancy centers that have brought in our sidewalk outreach program and are now running it as an initiative under their banner. We now have several dioceses that are running our program under their banner. We're the official sidewalk counseling program for the diocese because we're compatible with and honor Catholic teaching, even though we are professedly cross-denominational. We have Protestant churches that are running our program. So there really has been, there's a new springtime of collaboration on the sidewalk between, sidewalk advocates and pregnancy resource centers or other resources in the community. So all right, let me go ahead and switch over to the chat here and see. Thank you all for many of your kind words. Some of you are also mentioning other wonderful resources that we indeed, connect to. So this is really great. Let's see. Let me go ahead and go back to the Q&A here. This is a great question. How can we adapt what happens on the actual sidewalk to an online environment? By the way, I see I've got a few more minutes here, so I'll try to work in a couple more questions. We do have sidewalk advocates that when they're not on the sidewalk, they go into the message board on Baby Center, right? Like a very popular resource online. A lot of women are discussing with other women across the miles what they're going to do about their pregnancy, how they're struggling after an abortion. And so some of our folks just do this on the side, and it really is the same principle. In the training, what we teach people is to start with mom first. A lot of us are motivated to get to the sidewalk because we want to help save a life, right? But what we know from the research and the testimony is that women aren't quite ready sometimes to talk about baby and God, even if it's true that the desire of our heart is to get her into relationship with Christ. But she's not going to hear any of that if she doesn't know that we care for her and her situation first. And so, really the natural order of things is God, baby, mom. Those of you in pregnancy centers know this, right? But you also know, if you're in the pregnancy help community, that what happens is women in crisis mode have all of that inverted. And because they're in crisis, they're thinking about them and their situation first, pushing baby away and pushing God even further away. And so in the short amount of time that we have on the sidewalk where we're doing crisis intervention, we've got to start with mom. We've got to use a language that she can understand. And this doesn't mean leaving behind what we know to be true, that God, of course, comes first and that mothers put their children before themselves, right? But we want to start with her and love her into a decision for life or love her into healing resources. And so we've got to go in through her point of view. And, for us as believers, this is what Christ did for us, right? He didn't demand that we come to him. We couldn't do that. He came to us. He became one of us and met us in our great need. And so if we're the hands and feet of Christ, how much more do we need to go out to the sidewalk really in that spirit? So When you're online, it's as simple as, hi there. I know it sounds like you're going through a lot, and I just thought I'd reach out and let you know I care and that I've got these resources for you. And a couple of really great resources is optionline.org or pregnancy-decision-line.org. So again, Option Line or Pregnancy Decision Line. So Option Line is run by Heartbeat International. Pregnancy Decision Line is run by CareNet. And they have, at the very least, Option Line has a 24/7 chat. Pregnancy Decision Line is shares most of those hours as well. So wherever a woman is in the process, she's already on the computer talking to you, right? And so you can just give her that link and say, one of our counselors, or, these is a great resource if you want someone to work through, whatever it is that you're going through. By the way, I'm here for you too, right? You can even go to Option Line and put in your zip code, and you can point her to the nearest pregnancy center near her. So if you're in Texas and you're talking to someone in New Jersey, these great online resources will help you, just like you're handing something out on the sidewalk, get her to where she's going. And if she's been through an abortion experience before, then you send her to Support After Abortion and that website, and maybe put that hotline down there and whatnot. So, okay, let's see here. Do you ask if the person has a faith background? That's a great question. What we have found on the sidewalk, that as we're handing out post-abortion healing information in the way that I expressed it here in the presentation, at the very end, saying something like, we're praying for you, I have found that whether they're a believer or not, just even that sentiment tends to be a pretty universal, non-confrontational thing. Even when you've come across a secular humanist, they appreciate the good thoughts and the good vibes. And so I've never had anybody say, don't pray for me, maybe an abortion worker who's very angry at that moment or something. So I just go ahead and, the focus is that care and concern and resources. And then the beautiful thing is, for example, if you get them to some place like Support After Abortion, they'll do an assessment as to what that person needs and get them to the appropriate resource that's going to put them on the road to that hope and healing. The last thing is there a cost for the 5-hour training? I know we got to wrap up here. And who pays for the package you give out? So to avail yourself of our 3-point program, sidewalkadvocates.org, and click the apply button in the upper right hand corner. We do have a $150 application fee that covers your starter package and gets you started in the program. You have an option to renew for even much less going forward. So it's a choose your own adventure. You're not beholden to us forever. But if we need to reduce or waive that, we don't want anything to be cost prohibitive. We do have donors that are literally giving to help support an outreach team. And even though it costs us really about $2,000 to train, equip, and support a location, they do make a small, there's a small investment that you make that helps supplement. But we do have help available should that be an issue for you. So anyways, going forward, I know we've got to wrap up here. I just want y'all to know that we are here for you. Let us know how we can serve you. Feel free to set up an inquiry call with us. But God bless you for, responding in whatever way that you feel called. So thank you all so much for joining us. Really appreciate you and hope to serve you in the coming days in a greater way. Thanks.